Okay. So, I've recently felt like I don't know why I'm doing these videos anymore. The motivation to film this kind of came after the first realization or remembering. Kind of came out of nowhere to document my experience, but more recently that motivation's fading away, and it seems less and less relevant to talk about this, but kind of because I feel like what I'm conveying when I document or talk about this is like a separation from reality, from experience. Like I'm kind of standing back from experience and analysing it in a sense, or describing it. And it kind of suggests this separation from experience, or it suggests this subject that stands back and witnesses experience and talks about it, and my experience isn't like that anymore. Paradoxically, so I can let me go ahead and do exactly that. So I could kind of try and summarize this as in the initial realization is you're identified with the person, with the story, with the mind, and then you remember who and what you are. You remember yourself clearly and experience yourself clearly to be that which is aware of reality, that which is aware of thoughts, of the story, that which was aware of the story all the way through our lives and before and after, that which is just aware, that consciousness or presence or being that underlies, let's say, all of experience, all of the story. You realise and remember clearly that is what you are, that is what you always were, and you connect with that, and re-identify in a sense with something much bigger, something infinite, something that transcends and goes way beyond the limits of this personal life and personal identity. You identify with that which experiences reality, which is not the person. People call it awareness, presence, being, consciousness, and so on. They're all words trying to describe the same thing. That's the initial awakening. And with that, you see the non-reality or the illusion of this mind-made identity of the personal story in the ego. Albeit it still operates, it's still there within consciousness, being experienced by consciousness, maybe starts to change, and there's a huge relief. To experience this realization. But then after that, our direct experience starts to confirm this through the senses. It becomes more and more clear through the senses, through our sensory experience, to the point where that which is aware of the experience gets pulled into and vanishes into the experience, and then there's nothing left but the experience without that which is experiencing, without the witness, without the experiencer or the subject. Everything kind of joins together and becomes one non-separate continuum that transcends time. And this is what the non-dual experiences I explained, I was talking about before, were referring to. And I look back over my videos and it seems like a mess to me now. It seems like quite irrelevant. It seems like it was all from a reference point, a subjective reference point, whereas I think that conveys the wrong message, and it doesn't point directly to what I'm talking about or trying to talk about or point to. And remembering now that a lot of what I was describing, these were just experiences. These were experiences. These were coming and going. I was always describing an experience to an extent, or describing something from a subjective reference point. Whereas when the person, when the self, when the subject vanishes into the experience and there's nothing left but experience, any way in which I try and talk about it is almost going in an opposite direction. Is reifying the subject, the witness, the watcher, that which is aware, whereas the awareness is, and the subject is just a thought. There's nothing but experience. And when I was talking before about how there was still remnants of the ego, it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear. There was still a distinction between this relative world of form and the self and the absolute reality of the infinite. And whereas there isn't there's no separation. Everything is simultaneous. There's no separation anywhere. And I can't describe it. I filmed a few videos trying to describe non-duality, and I just thought, no, I don't know why. I was trying to, when you try and talk about something and then you just think, why am I trying to talk about this? That's pretty much what it was like. There's no distinction between that relative reality and the world of form and ego and so on. These are all labels, and the ultimate absolute reality. These are just concepts. All there is the experience. Without the experiencer, or without that which is experiencing, it's impossible to talk about. But yeah, this realization it's all just a continuation of the same insight, the same realization. It's just a deepening and clarification of that initial shift, that initial recognition of our true nature, our true selves, or what we are before and after the limited existence of separation and the personal identity. And I don't know how to explain this or talk about it or point towards it. I think it's I'm not very experienced at using language to try and point to this. That's what I partially this channel was to help myself. Partially it was a spontaneous thing. I just was motivated because this is such a profound realization for me in the beginning and thereafter, but specifically after that first shift, it was just it just created this new direction in life, let's say. But partially I wanted to express this to other people who were interested in awakening and interested in spirituality, or whatever you would like to call it. Whatever you'd like to call it, meditation and so on, so that it might have a collective effect of, a collective awakening, to become part of a collective awakening. that's kind of how I saw it. But the more this clarifies, or the more clarity of realization there is, the less that all that matters, to the point where it almost doesn't make any sense anymore, and to the point where I could probably, if I was to reflect, I could probably say that this was a hindrance to myself, to a degree, because I wouldn't say a hindrance. I would say it was the ego's attempt at creating something else to rest on, creating something else to cling on to have existence perpetuated. It's an illusory existence to be reified in a certain way, but it's just a natural part of the process of the dissolution of the personal identity. And it's not like the... Hold on, I'm getting a call. What was I talking about again? Yeah, it's hard to describe what it's like. It's not like the... It's not like the personal egoic identity is... It's not like it... The best way I can describe it is it's seen for what it is. It's seen to be... It's almost recognised for what it is, to the point where it's not there anymore, and it doesn't need to be there. It doesn't have to continue in order to function, in order for reality to continue being reality. It's not a part of reality that needs to be there or ever was there in the first place, if that makes any sense. And it also becomes clear that suffering was created by almost this pulling away from reality, pulling away from experience, that separating from experience, and by doing that, resisting what is already. And you can see how that created illusion, that pulling away from experience, that separating from, that resistance is the suffering. And you start to become familiar with that mechanism, how that happens, how it works. And when you recognise that, then the illusion that needs to continue that way vanishes. And that, again, that's a process, because it will continue automatically. It will for a while. And we see that the it's a disentanglement from the emotions and that self that the emotions refers to. They're not the same thing. The emotions, the sensations are emotions and sensations. Like physical sensation and emotional sensations, it's very similar. It's a very physical thing, but we tie this identity to these emotions and thoughts to these emotions, and it becomes this emotional bundle that seems like a real thing. And when that is disentangled, all that remains is the emotion, and the emotion does what it wants. The emotion expresses itself, not to be controlled by, because it can't be controlled by the ego, the sense of self, if that makes any sense. So it just becomes more and more clear that reality is experience, is just experience, and that's all there is, and it's perfect. And it's not like you go with it, you are it. It is just experience. It's not like you're moving through a world. You are the world. The world is experience. We are the world. But even that suggests separation. It's not like the person merges with the environment. It's like the environment is there as the experience, but the individual self is not removed from it. It's just seen through it without anyone seeing. If that makes any sense, but it's very difficult for me to talk about. Because all language and communication seems to be based on an assumed separation, an assumed subject, self and other. But it's just more of experience, more of reality revealing itself in a more pure, direct, vivid, alive form. Without that distance of I am experiencing, I am separate from, I see this, I hear this, I feel this emotion, I think this thought. And it seems like for a while that I becomes entangled with the awareness, becomes entangled with or is entangled with the perceiving of what this is. Whereas what this is doesn't need to be perceived, it doesn't need to be known or witnessed or processed. It just is. It is always what it is, effortlessly, without the reliance on any separate thing to do that. So I'm not sure if I'll continue making videos. For the time being, I don't seem to be motivated to do so. So I don't want to force myself to continue something that I'm not motivated to do. But it has been interesting. Anyway, that'll do for now. See you later.